All right, and we are live. So welcome back to DAP University. So today we're going to talk about how crypto has changed, okay, and what you need to understand about this. We're going to break this down, look at one of the biggest trends in crypto right now that has actually flipped from our previous trends. My YouTube is going live here, and it's starting to feedback on me. So sorry about that. So yeah, we're talking about how crypto has changed, what you need to understand about this. We're going to look at a lot of the news updates that have happened in this space since yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Turn on notifications, subscribe. You'll find out about these as go live. We're going to check on the crypto markets, answer some of your questions, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dapuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. And last but not least, like nothing I'm saying in this video is going to be financial advice for you. There's lots of scammers down in the comment section below in these YouTube videos. Just ignore them. Like I'm never going to give you my phone number on YouTube, never going to ask you to invest with me, never going to like try to get you into a secret chat room to ask you for paid promotion in crypto, anything like that. We got lots of crazy people out there who are pretending to be me online. Just ignore them. Probably never going to DM you. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got Bradford, Classic Rebel, David Stone, Marcelo, Robert, Jordan, Patrick, Lawrence, Gel, hope I'm saying that right. Made you look, Tasha, lots of people. So really quick, at the top of this video, we're going to get in this more in the video, and you'll probably just notice this as we go on. But today's stream is going to be a little bit different if you've been watching these live streams before, because I have a guest with me on the stream. You can't see him right now. I'm about to bring him on. And as a guest that you're going to be seeing a lot more of, because I'm going to bring on a co-host for this stream so that we can make these better, make them more valuable. So it's not me just sitting up here talking the entire time. So I'm going to bring Walshy on the screen and quickly say hi before we get into today's topic. So welcome, Walshy.
Yeah, it's excellent. Hey, everybody. My name's Walshy. It's a pleasure to join Gregory here, help you all out, produce great content for DAP University. Really excited about this.
Yeah, totally. So Walshy is researcher extraordinaire, DAO extraordinaire. We're gonna get into that towards the end of the video. We'll kind of give him an extended time of introduction, but he's gonna be helping me get ready for these streams. Also, kind of help me facilitate some of the conversation and co-host on these streams. So everybody, welcome Walshy to the channel. So let's get into this first topic here. Which is how crypto has changed. And this is something I talked about a little bit over the past couple of weeks or so, but I really want to drive this point home because you really need to understand this in the crypto space. So one of the coolest things about crypto is you can actually confirm what's going on in the space by looking at data on chain, okay? People talk about how Ethereum's too slow, it's too expensive to use, the gas fees are too high, but you have to understand that when people are paying gas, that means that that they want to use the network as an indication of demand, okay? And you can actually track where that gas is being spent on chain to see what are the most popular trends. Are people paying gas to swap tokens? Are they paying gas primarily to, deposit into DeFi applications to earn yield? Are they doing it to trade NFTs? Okay, you can aggregate this across different dApps based on their category to see, hey, here's the most popular trend. People are mostly swapping tokens. People are doing this. People are doing that, right? So, kind of when the crypto boom really happened over the past couple of years in terms of what's been happening on chain, probably one of the most popular things that people were doing was swapping tokens, basically. That was one of those popular things, right? And you saw that Uniswap was basically the most popular application on top of Ethereum. But how it's changed now is that basically OpenSea has actually surpassed Uniswap and has become the #1 most used product on Ethereum. Okay, you can actually see that the amount of gas being spent on these different apps has gone to OpenSea and has caused it to become the most in-demand application in terms of gas expenditure on top of Ethereum. So why is this important? Well, it's important for a couple reasons. It shows you what people are predominantly using the chain for, and NFTs have started to occupy a major part of that market share, where it used to be just like jumping into tokens, jumping into yield farms, trying the new applications in DeFi or whatever it is. But NFTs have actually come to occupy that #1 slot, okay? And this is also important if you've been an NFT skeptic and thought that NFTs are just a fad that's going away sometime soon. That's really not what the data shows on chain, okay? Or that, that's what's likely to happen next. Of course, it could all be the top of the bubble, right? This thing could pop in the future, but if you track the momentum, that's where the momentum is headed. And so you can actually see here that if you also take into account of OpenSea's revenue, like the amount of money actually spent on OpenSea, we are at an all-time high. Okay, you can see this across multiple metrics, and you can see how it even compares to other popular applications like MakerDAO, for example. Okay, you can see it, here as well. Of course, here's the comment that says this might be the tippy top of the bubble for NFTs. We will see, but why is this also important? So if you get in this space and you're trying to say like, hey, what should I be understanding in terms of like my competency just using crypto, or if you're trying to become a developer, you want to learn to create X, Y, Z, then NFTs cannot be ignored. Okay. So it's also crazy to me because I didn't expect this to happen. Like initially when NFT started to really take off, I had a healthy amount of skepticism. Still have some degree of skepticism for NFTs. I'm super excited about what we can do beyond just digital collectibles in the future. But this is one of those things where you just cannot deny the data. So the other thing I want to say about this is you might saw the video yesterday talking about the number one profitable NFT project to build in 2022. How a lot of these NFT launches essentially follow a very clear format. Okay, and how basically if you follow that format, you're going to be positioning yourself to launch a product like the other successful projects are doing. Is that's what we're exactly going to show you, and that's how that NFT Masterclass, which is going to come up next Thursday on February. I believe it's the 10th. Let's just check here. We got the page for it. So yeah, February 10th at 5:30 p.m. So definitely go check out that video I put out yesterday. We'll put a link in the live chat replay on how you can sign up for this. So let's see what we got people in the chat here saying. Everybody's doing a big welcome to Walshy in the channel. What's a personal favorite utility for NFTs? So, I'm really excited in the future about what you could do with like things like real estate contracts, intellectual property, and any non-fungible assets that we currently put a high dollar value on in the real world. I'm really excited about how we can, use blockchain for those particular things. A good laptop to learn Solidity. My number one recommendation is a Mac, but my simple answer is always any computer made in the last 5 years running Mac, Linux, or Windows, in that order will work. Okay, so let's jump into some other updates in the space here. Let me pull up my other. Let me pull up my other thing here. So actually also with the NFTs, somebody was asked me just now about what, can we use it for? What are my number one use cases? This is not necessarily my number one use case, but we are seeing something like this. Warner Music Group forms label-wide partnership with leading green Web3 company for one of 4 artist and music NFTs. So we're seeing lots of different industries jump in this space, take NFTs seriously, and all these data points are just like a trend to it, like continuing to just blast off like a rocket ship. Okay. We're also seeing rumors that we might see some NFTs make an appearance at the Super Bowl. At least Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre are both supposed to be there. At least that's the last I heard. We might see an appearance of some Bored Apes. We'll see. So let's see here. So I want to talk more about crypto adoption in terms of what's going on inside the United States, especially with crypto, regulation, also crypto laws. Okay. So let's see here. I'm gonna let Walshy talk about this a little bit here. But yesterday we talked about how we were seeing certain states push for Bitcoin as legal tender within the states themselves. There's a hot debate around this. Does it actually matter? Because it's not going to work at a federal level, and it's not necessarily going to have. It's going to still have some restrictions on it from a federal perspective, but the state level could be recognized as legal tender. But yesterday, we saw this pop up here, which is a bill to exempt virtual currency from property taxes. Okay, this is in Arizona. So Arizona is one of the states where we talked about, Bitcoin potentially, being used as legal tender. So I'm gonna bring Walshy on here and let him kind of talk about this one here.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Gregory. I appreciate that. Yeah, as the bill itself states, it's actually really small. If you go to the Arizona senator, her name is Wendy Rogers. She's from Arizona, of course. It's like a page, not even maybe like 14 lines. So it's really, really small. To me, that just says I really don't think that this will be successful. But I'm not a legal expert. I'm, not in politics, I'm not in government.
Right.
But it really doesn't look like they did a lot with the bill itself, just very minuscule. But it is really setting a nice precedent for Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, virtual currencies, etc., for America, for the land.
Right.
Texas has had some inroads, as you discussed yesterday as well, but it starts somewhere. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, in order for it does start from somewhere, right? It's hard to know what the pie in the sky dream is for crypto inside the United States. I mean, I'm sort of of the opinion that crypto can do just fine without regulations. You know what I mean? I'm also a realist in saying that regulations can, are going to rear their head, and especially in the crypto world. So the goal is to create the best trade-offs that you can possibly get, the most favorable regulations as possible. And to me, what this potentially looks like is kind of going on the offensive defense, where you're already starting to say hey, let's try to push for these things. And it's sort of like a negotiation. You're probably not going to get this thing right here, right? You see these small efforts, they're not going to initially accomplish the goal, but it's sort of like, battles, and then you have this major war, and maybe you are, maybe you're making these moves on the chessboard that don't matter in isolation, but in aggregate, maybe move the needle long term. Maybe that's what this is.
I mean, we need something, especially with all these small hidden clauses that are getting pushed through in Washington D.C. that hamper the ability for crypto to really thrive.
Right.
We need our allies, absolutely, regardless of whatever side of the aisle you happen to be on. I'm a single issue voter. I don't care. I want to make sure that this industry thrives, and so we're looking for all kind of allies, just period, right now.
Right. Take them where we can get them, even if these individual pieces of proposals don't matter as much or seem futile maybe on the surface here. So what's going on with the infrastructure bill? Where are we with all that in terms of crypto? I kept up on it a lot, while it was kind of going through. Do you have any updates on that?
I not at an expert level, nothing that I could sound off on. I just know that it's really up in the air at the moment as to what's actually happening with it. I know that there was a hidden clause put into a treasury bill somewhere that's supposed to regulate digital assets. But from my understanding is that these aren't really supposed to take effect until 2024. And then of course there's lawyer DAOs that are very, very eager to discuss these topics and be on top of these issues, and so of course they're on it. But that is a point of reassurance. Sure, it feels good, right? There's some lawyers out there that might be working for us, but we need real, concrete, definitive action, right? That's why this Arizona bill, in my mind, is so important, because it's so small, and it's really not going to do too much, probably, most likely, but it's there. It's getting press, it's getting attention, and people will resonate just with that in itself, the message, the whole angle which we're approaching this from. That's what I think, at least. I hope that's right.
Yeah. This let me see if I can pull I'm working on a new live stream software here, everybody. Jake Stravinsky is a guy that I follow a lot when we're doing the infrastructure stuff. He's had a lot of really good takes. Head of policy at Blockchain Association. Has had a really good background to help everybody stay up on the space for this type of thing. So I'm gonna keep an eye on his Twitter for sure when we're looking at some of these updates.
Yeah, he's a good one. There's also a DAO out there. It's called Lex DAO. which is just supposed to be a coalition of lawyers coming together, of course, in a DAO format to work on issues. But I know that there's many more allies out there that are just in the shadows. I just don't know about them. So I'm painting that picture.
Yeah,
Very helpful.
I just found the one you're talking about on Twitter. I'm going to follow them. So this is Lex DAO. So this is Legal Engineering Crypto Law Soup Club. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Very cool.
I think they're the ones that are running the initiative that are, it's like there's a website. Unfortunately, it scrapes, the name escapes me right now, but there's a website that tracks all of our individual congressmen, congresswomen's actions towards crypto. And I think they might be the DAO that's running that actual website. It's either them or someone who's affiliated with them.
Oh, okay.
Pretty cool. Again, we need these. We need this so bad, especially in the States where in my mind, like the battle is for crypto.
Yeah, totally.
Globally, though, there's some big moves that occurred.
Yeah, totally. So somebody's talking about in the chat, India to legalize crypto and put on a 30% tax. So I definitely saw that. You put that on our show notes for today, Walshy. You want to talk about that some?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that basically explains most, if not all of it, right? But so India's issuing its own digital rupee, its own CBDC, and they're actually not differentiating between capital gains or income taxes. Instead, they're conflating both of them and bringing them both together. So no matter what in India, if you're trading digital currencies, you're getting taxed at 30%. But this is a huge, just 180 compared to their previous stance, which was just outright banning crypto, period. So they've obviously flipped 100%. It's great.
Right.
The finance minister, hold on a second, Nirmala Sitharaman, quoted saying digital currency will give a big boost to the digital economy. Digital currency will also lead to a more efficient and cheaper currency management system. So again, just resonating that the government itself has kind of flipped. They've realized and they see the green yard and they see the future. They see digital currency and they're coming around. They are on board. Even if they have some egregious tax at the moment, who knows? Maybe activists in India can do some work there. I'm not really sure how their government works overall, but how many people have a say in matters like we do in America. But I mean, this is just such a beautiful development, especially in India. Huge proponent of crypto.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So one thing that's really interesting about this is, you're talking about how it's, taxed at the same rate, which I've always thought that, one potential play with a lot of these, digital currencies, whether it's central bank digital currencies or, is the digital rupee here considered a central bank digital currency? I guess I'm trying to figure out what the actual classification of that is.
I believe it would be, yeah.
Yeah. So CBDC, basically, I'm just less familiar with India's economy and how everything works. I'm I'm not an expert in foreign affairs, macroeconomics, all that type of stuff, right? But I guess what I'm trying to say here is what's interesting about the CBDCs is I would say it'd be incentive to tax crypto harder and not your CBDC because you're trying to push people towards the CBDC. But that doesn't seem like that's what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. A tax rate of 30% is egregious regardless. So it's still brutal. And it's a step forward, but yeah, it's pretty bad. If you are from India though, and you do have a comment on this, I highly recommend drop it in the comment section below, add it to the chat right now because we'd love to hear about you. We know that this is a global audience and we definitely have some people inside of India that we'd love to hear your feedback on that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're just outsiders kind of looking at this from the lens of wanting crypto to succeed globally, and I'm just kind of curious what you all think about this. Awesome. So I'm gonna let's just see here. I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat here. So it's 30% in Finland too. Interesting. Somebody says they're from India. Can you make a video on how a CBDC actually works? So CBDCs work differently depending on the actual CBDC itself. There's also going to be a debate in the future on, how do what's going to be the implementation for each central bank digital currency? Are they going to use their own blockchain, or are they going to actually leverage public blockchain infrastructure? I see some takes that, CBDCs, there's a lot of incentive to actually leverage public blockchain infrastructure. But, we'll have to wait and see. on that type of thing. Part of it is like if you're actually going to make a CBDC that is, controlled, that has the granular level of control that you want from a CBDC. To where it's not just literally some big centralized database, that you've got a pretty massive hurdle to overcome to have the infrastructure to do that, and that the incentives are in play to just leverage what the private sector's already created. I say private sector. I'm not saying like somebody's consortium blockchain or something like that. I mean like private sector in terms of like not the government creating it. So
I think it'd be hard pressed for a government to use an existing blockchain just because most existing blockchains are immutable and permissionless, right? And so if the government's trying to step in, freeze funds, then they'd have to isolate a certain coin, and you have to go on the right blockchain, etc.
right.
They'd have to spin up their own system. I just don't see that being out in public.
Well, the argument against that, though, is that you could basically have some sort of token that gives you all that flexibility. It's sort of like some of the stable coins that we have now have that option where like they have upgradable proxy smart contracts. They have, blacklisting in the tokens. They have all this type of stuff. Now, granted, you can't roll back history per se, but you would still have a large degree of control over the thing itself, which, well, yeah, we'll see.
like Tether can freeze funds, right?
Right.
Exactly right. I mean, if it's going to be any central, if it's going to be any stable coin, it's going to be Circle. It's going to be the USDC, right? Like, if they're going to go with if they're not going to have the CBDC within the Federal Reserve, instead go with an existing stable coin.
Yeah.
I would bet.
Well, I guess what I mean by that. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess what I mean by that, though, is like, using public blockchain infrastructure. Like they might create their own brand new coin that's not like a coin that we already know about, but they might run it on they might run it on a ledger created by the private sector, right? I guess that's kind of what I'm going with that.
We're gonna find out pretty soon here. So
yeah, we're gonna find out pretty soon. There's supposed to be a paper coming out about their implementation plans or their, what they might do here. So let's go ahead and check on something I saw with the layer 2 space yesterday. We've been kind of checking on the metrics here. I'm going to pull up this on my screen so we can see it. I got to go back to my camera. Again, we're kind of working this live stream workflow out. Again, things are changing around here a little bit, and I've got to figure out with my existing software how I can like share my screen in a very presentable way and keep everything on camera here. Let's look at l2beat.com.
It's an interesting comment by Sanskar. It says India has not made crypto legal, but taxed it as an asset. So that implies that it's illegal, but it's taxed.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at. I want to show this post that I came up with yesterday. Let's just steer. We're continuing to see. Pretty good adoption in the L2 space in terms of layer 2 scaling solutions on top of Ethereum. Pull this chart up on my screen here. Again, it's really hard to it's hard to measure with all the tools available to us right now exactly how this is taking off. You can see basically the amount of activity happening here based on TVL. So this is total value locked for layer 2 scaling solutions. So what is this for? Basically, people talk about things like Ethereum being too slow, too expensive to use. We've seen a flight to other layer 1 blockchain solutions as a response to this. Okay. But we've also seen layer 2 scaling solutions created in response to this. That's always been a long-term plan for Ethereum, is to get that scalability benefit from this second environment. Okay. And so we're seeing layer 2 adoption continue to do well. Okay. So we've seen a little bit of a leveling off here, but you have to look in terms of TVLs, total value locked. US dollar looks terrible, partly because crypto prices have fallen. This is also somewhat of a better indicator, is looking at the amount of ETH locked, because you can actually see more units of cryptocurrency. Now, this number is not perfect either, because if token valuations drop relative to ETH on the network, then that value will go down as well. But the trend still looks good, even if we see a little bit of leveling out here. So why I bring this up is just a primer to talk about this space. I saw a thread come out yesterday that I want to go through. That was pretty informative on the space here. So there has been a lot of talk about high gas fees on Ethereum, but not enough about layer 2. These are some crazy platforms that have the ability to scale ETH 100 to 1000x. And the best part of all this is they already exist. All right. So here are some of my favorite in terms of the author here. So this is Croissant ETH. So number one is optimistic Ethereum. So optimism is a rollup which can greatly reduce transaction time and fees on ETH by a magnitude of 100x plus. So it does so by running computations off chain, building transaction data in batches, then writing to the main chain from call data. So check it out. So Arbitrum 1. So Arbitrum is also an optimistic rollup, minimizing computation and batching transactions on the main chain to reduce gas costs. Okay, so the network can scale up to 40,000 transactions per second while offering the same security as Ethereum. Okay, so we definitely have seen Arbitrum, assume a lead role in terms of TVL. Again, not a perfect metric, but it is the number one slot right now. Let's just see here. So ZK Sync, another one. So ZK Sync is an EVM compatible zero knowledge proof rollup that it may be the end game for ETH scaling. So ZK rollups utilize powerful cryptographic proofs to verify transactions in batches on ETH. This is useful as proofs can be submitted by anyone to withdraw onto layer 1 instantly. So this is important because with ZK Sync, basically, you don't have to make code changes in order to put your app over onto a ZK rollup solution, which has always been one of the biggest bottlenecks. So full disclosure, I'm an early backer in ZK Sync, but I backed them because I believe that they have a really strong role in the space. Okay, they very well could be the end goal of ETH scaling with layer 2s. So Loopring is an application-specific scaling solution, and Hop is the one that I've talked about some. We're talking about bypassing the withdrawal times on layer 2s, but you have to understand what Hop does. So Hop protocol is basically it lets you swap. It's like a cross-chain swap for layer 2s. So it's kind of like a bridge, but it's kind of like Uniswap. It's kind of like Thorchain, if you've seen that. Okay. So basically, if you want to get onto layer 2 scaling solution or off of one, you can use Hop, and it works kind of like Uniswap. You just tell it what token you have on this blockchain, and then tell it what token you want on that blockchain. And when I say blockchains, it's just two different, scaling environments or layer 1 itself. And then you just click swap or send, and it moves your crypto from one to the other. Okay, so Hop has done pretty well and has really helped with like optimistic rollups because they do have this delay time, and this helps do that. But you do have an additional trust assumption here in order to make that work. Somebody says, why isn't Polygon featured on the list? As far as I know, it has the most TVL and user growth of all of them. You can go look on l2beat.com and look at, they have some like FAQs and stuff like that. I was like, why isn't Polygon on there? You can actually see it. So let's just see what they say. We had to draw the line somewhere. In the current version, we define L2 as a chain, partially or fully derives its security from L1 Ethereum, so the users do not have to rely on the honesty of L2 validators for securing their funds. So that's the current view from ethereum.org, and Polygon in its current form is more like a sidechain. So that's why they would say that. It's not a diss on Polygon. It's just trying to call a spade and actually, just have some sort of taxonomy that you can apply, and you need a rule of thumb in order to create that. Okay, let's see here. Somebody says Arbitrum is garbage. Let's go ahead and check on the crypto markets here. So we do see some green across the board. Bitcoin's back at $38,500. Let's see, have we gone back above 40K yet? I don't think so. All right. I mean, this looks good in the short term. We don't exactly know what's going to happen. See, Ethereum is back about 2,770. We crossed 20. Yeah, we just crossed 2,800 recently. So there's a little bit of hope here. Let's check what's going on with the stock market. Let's see, S&P. All right. So we're seeing some recovery across the stock market. So, just kind of catching you guys back up in case you're just jumping in the live stream. You're not sure what's been going on with crypto over the past couple months. We've seen pretty, bad correction over a while here. And, crypto does not exist in isolation. We see lots of external factors outside the crypto space that likely have a huge impact on this or huge influence on this. Okay. You could say that crypto also was in a little bit of a bubble before that caused, the downturn. Maybe some of that downturn happened before some of these external factors. But regardless, it's always hard to tell exactly what's going on with the price. But it's hard to deny these external factors or have an impact. So, because you see it with the stock market. Okay. The stock market has gone through a very similar type of thing. We've had comments from the Fed about what they plan to do, tightening their monetary policy likely this year. Okay. We've seen some international conflicts potentially that people are scared about. Okay. When you see two things that look like one another, okay, like the crypto markets and the stock market, you can come to one of three logical conclusions. One is following the other. They're both following the same thing, or it's sheer coincidence. I don't think it's sheer coincidence. I don't think one is following the other. I think they're influenced by a common factor, which is exactly what I was talking about here a second ago. So, that being said, my long-term thesis for crypto has not changed. I still think that the adoption is continuing on, and for that reason, that cryptocurrency prices will trend higher over time. That being said, in the short term, we might continue to see this pain. But short term, I am getting optimistic because stock market is starting to show signs of recovery, and let's just hope that sticks with crypto. Let's just see here. I said pull. We'll answer some FAQs here. We'll pull Walshy back up on the stream here. So let's see. I don't know if you saw any other questions in there in the chat. I'm going to look at some here. If you saw any interesting ones.
Do you have a blockchain AMA anywhere?
Do I have a blockchain AMA somewhere? No, it's kind of what we do on the streams. If you have questions, let's drop them here. It's a good time to build community and show up and ask the questions. So we do. It depends on what you mean by AMA. We definitely answer questions here on the live streams. We answer questions inside those master classes when we, talk on technical topics. We're gonna do that NFT Masterclass next Thursday. I'll put a link in the show notes whenever we get done here. Other than that, that's pretty much where we do it. We also have Q&A inside of our blockchain mastery program inside the Slack community inside there. We do lots of Q&A in there.
Yeah, just ask away, guys. Let's know your thoughts. We'd love to answer questions.
So what are thoughts on Web3? Definitely a huge trend inside of the crypto space. It depends on what you mean by Web3. You could call cryptocurrencies Web3, you could call NFTs Web3. But if you're talking about, just running web infrastructure with a decentralized ethos, that is kind of a niche in itself, like IPFS. Like, could you create a crypto social network that was completely uncensorable? That would be an example of a Web 3.0 application. But the lines really start to blur because a lot of the stuff that be effective, a lot of them have other economic incentives involved with them, which is where crypto and NFTs come in place in the first place. So sometimes they're hard to separate.
Got another technical one. It's from Andrew Luca. It says he's new to the chain, might mean channel, but how much should we trust in Fura, Alchemy, or Moralis?
That's a good question. So it depends on what you're doing. I'd say for most developers, it's fine, especially if you're just talking about putting a smart contract on the blockchain, and you're talking about, just putting your project on there, maybe fetching some information that you just need, and you can cross-reference it with an external source like Etherscan, for example. It's fine. Now, if you're talking about getting into the place of signing transactions that could compromise your funds and you have significant funds, then, maybe you want to start looking at running your own node. It's probably still fine. But if you want to take that extra level of precaution, then definitely, it's a risk reward, scenario. The other potential option is, if you're trying to, if you have to have a very finely tuned node for some other like real specific purpose, like you need access to the blockchain data faster than anybody else on the face of the planet, like if you're an arbitrageur or something like that, then you might have to run your own node as well.
It's a great answer.
But for vast majority of people, it doesn't matter.
Alex Toro says you're trying to look like white Jesus. I was watching some of your old videos, and it's just awesome to see your hair development throughout the years. No, Alex Toro, that is just experience and wisdom, my friend.
Yeah, and the confusion of looking like a Renaissance painting or maybe like a medieval painting. I'm pretty sure that's not what he actually looked like. I'm not Jewish nor Middle Eastern. So let's see here. Humans are the computer Web 4. That's pretty good. We see the memes floating around online of what Web 4 is going to be, and somebody here says that computers are going to be humans are going to be the computers in Web 4.
Web 4.
It's like the Matrix. That's right.
Computer computes you.
That's right.
Yeah. Someone actually asked about your boot camp. How far does your $500 investment go? Is it accredited? Is what he said.
Oh, so that's a good question. So we do have certificates available for people who graduate from boot camp. So those certificates are basically for people who just want it. Okay. It's not an official accreditation program. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, what do people really care about when they're hiring for technical talent? They care about what you can do. Like, almost for vast majority of people, they don't care if you went to college. They don't care if you got a computer science degree. They don't care if you got some sort of certificate from something that says that you can do something. What really sells you is, can you do the thing that they're hiring you to do? And the best indication of that is going to be your portfolio, how you can accomplish technical tasks in an interview, and then just working with them so they can see what you can do. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. You got to have the skills to pay the bills, and that's the best indication of it, not something else. I mean, I don't have a computer science degree. I didn't go to college for anything computer related. I taught myself the hard way, and nobody's ever asked me for a certificate or, my resume or anything. I've never submitted a resume for anything coding related.
I assume, though, if you have no experience, you have this be your first foray into the industry, you want to have something to show.
Yeah, but that's what portfolio is. That's exactly what portfolio is for. So portfolio, all that type of stuff is the main key thing. It's not that you can't have these other things. Like, if you got to go to college, like, let's say your parents make you go to college and you want to be a programmer, like, it's not a bad idea to get a computer science degree. It's probably not going to hurt you. It might hurt you if you get focused on the wrong things and you get your priorities out of whack. But basically, like, it's probably going to help you. Similar to other things, like if you get XYZ, you got to do it, then it's probably going to help you. But you can probably just cut past all that stuff and just go for what really matters.
That resonates. How I got started in DAOs was just that. It was just getting your hands dirty, just diving right in, going and participating to the best of your abilities and volunteering yourself and just getting exposure. So it's very similar, building your portfolio outside of your main career, if you will. There is a question about our bots. I don't know if you want to take that.
We'll take one more question. Then I want to dig into Walshy's intro a little bit more, since we have got him on the channel for the first time today. Let me just see here. I see here. So why would my ARB bot be superior to the competition? So when you're talking about doing ARBs, there's really kind of like two ways to approach it. You can, number one, but try to be the best, fastest person at the opportunity that you're going out, because you're out competing other people. And that's, if you're doing that, if you're playing a zero-sum game, you have to be the best. All right. Or you can do something totally different, which is looking at opportunities that other people are not doing. That's the easier way to do it, because you don't have to compete. You just do something else. So Yeah, for a couple minutes here before we wrap up today, I wanted to just kind of give a little bit of a longer introduction to Walshy here on the channel, since he's going to be on here co-hosting with me, helping me with these live streams, help prep, and adding value to what we're doing here at DAP University. So again, everybody, welcome Walshy. So researcher extraordinaire, DAO extraordinaire. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hey guys. Thanks, Gregory. I appreciate that. Really happy to be here hosting the show with you. Man, I don't have anything prepared really. The first time I heard about Bitcoin was like 2010. I was on, internet message boards, and it was a prophetic, like, this will change everything message popped up, and I was like, whatever. Should have listened. In hindsight, should have listened, right? But I got involved for the first time in an actual capacity, right, in 2017. It was, and if you were in 2017, you know how all that went, of course, to the history. It boomed at the end of 2017. So I was really happy. I 5x an investment and thought I was like, a genius. But then a bear market hit, so I left. Right. And I should have paid attention. You started grinding, and so I tip my hat to you, sir. You started grinding then. You haven't stopped, which is very admirable. I came out of hibernation in 2021. Really, it was like at the beginning of 2021, but more casually at first. It was about like NFTs. You see like influencers promoting them. But near the second half of 2017, I was building a startup, and it was for like private schools. And I went through the entirety of COVID and helped a bunch of schools out, getting everybody back. But I started to see like some of the inadequacies, is like the nicest way to put it, of that industry. And then I really saw where this was going, right? And I was just like, okay, I've got to go all in. So I've been working on business development, is where I found my niche. I didn't have any background, obviously, in Web3 prior to this. And so, like I suggested just a couple minutes ago, I just dove in. Once I understood the lay of the land, once I'd acquired enough knowledge, I just read lots of stuff, just read as much as I could. I started finding ways in which I could provide assistance to like the Bankless DAO, and with like Creator DAO, and most recently Lido DAO.
Yeah, totally. So I want to talk about a little bit more at that, because, I think one of the key things people hone in on is that, you're pretty plugged in this space right now, contributing to stuff that's actually happening inside the crypto space in a very like crypto native ways. I mean, like one of the craziest things about this space is that you can, contribute to a DAO, all right, and you can add value to a DAO, this thing that is literally run by smart contracts. You know what I mean? Like on a blockchain. So maybe like talk a little bit more about that, and kind of like what, how you help with that type of stuff.
I mean, I'm so new to it.
Or people like wanted to get involved in something like that. Like, how would they do it?
Great. So what I did here, I'll just give my experience. Basically, I just dove in. I ran a World of Warcraft guild during COVID, and so through that, I was already pretty immersed into Discord. And when I learned that all information about crypto is on Twitter and Discord, I just jumped in as soon as I started scouring the actual. I basically started like a blank Twitter account, and then I just started following. Right. I started paying attention to who like all people like you were paying attention to, and then I started joining those Discords. And of course, if you join these Discords, you have no idea what's going on. You're going to be left in this like haze or daze of just like, oh my god,
information.
Look how official this is. Yeah. But once you start getting the lay of the land, like I was kind of saying, once you start getting acclimated to the flow, the workflow of everybody, of how the pacing goes, you can start finding ways to contribute. My recommendation, this would be a huge plug, but start with Bankless DAO. Bankless DAO is the biggest. They are very welcoming to all new types of newcomers. There's ways to get involved without spending any money, which is really crucial. You don't have to pay. They have this really cool first, they call it the first quest, where you can, just do a bunch of tasks and activities. They'll let you in. And then from there, you can start seeing how DAOs operate on the inside, how meetings work, how people collaborate with each other. I found that was, without a doubt, the best way for me to get started. And big shout out to Bankless DAO for giving birth to me.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. Awesome, very cool. Well, yeah, cool, Walsh. That's super helpful. I'm gonna answer one more question in the chat here, and then we'll go ahead and sign off for today. Let's just see here. Somebody says, how long from jumping to coding to joining the DAO? So it's a good question. I don't know if it's directed at Walshy or just in general. So, I mean, you could join a DAO without coding, I think is an important point to make here. There's lots of stuff where you could add value to a DAO where you don't have to be a coder. That being said, as a coder, you can be a very valuable member, especially if you learn blockchain development, because there's always going to be, tasks for technical people. Now you have to be able to actually add value, so you have to have the skills at a level where you can do that. But that's exactly what we teach on this channel, into the blockchain bootcamp, all that stuff.
It'd be a really good way to utilize the skills you learn here on DApp University and then collaborate with people to talk about some skills. Right.
Yeah,
if you're really looking for that external social channel as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, everybody. That's all I got for today. Again, welcome Walshy to the channel here. He's gonna be helping me with these live streams, get them ready, co-host with me. Try to find awesome stuff to talk about, what's going on in the space. He's super plugged in. Try to add a lot of value to these streams here. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the like button down below. That really helps these videos out so more people learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those videos and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you'll take a master shortcut entirely, I should become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.